My name is and I'm a romance scammer. They are just a number on the screen. That's why I call her honey or babe. The quicker I get this done, the better. If I can do it without remembering their names, I will. I am the best of the best. All my scammer friends wish they had 50 clients like I did. I am untouchable. There's so many ways to stay hidden on the internet, especially with payment through Cash Apps or Bitcoin, which they have never heard of, so more the reason to skillfully get them to do it. I always look for a victim that's vulnerable or has gone through some tragic event.
I was married probably 25 years in 2016, and my husband was diagnosed with stage 4 glioblastoma, which is, from the get-go, it's a terminal brain cancer. In the midst of his cancer, I was diagnosed with a fairly serious form of breast cancer. I became his caretaker as his health started to dwindle and do my own cancer treatment at the same time, which was exhausting emotionally. It was exhausting physically. There was a hurricane coming. We had to evacuate, which was a little bit stressful. I had to miss chemotherapy. He couldn't talk. We ran off to a different part of Florida to try to survive the hurricane, not knowing what was going to happen to our home, which we had built, by the way. We built the house for ourselves to retire. That was our forever. That was our life. That was where we were going to spend our old age. But life had a different trajectory for us. We came back from the hurricane in September, and he went down here very quickly. He was still mobile, but we brought hospice in to get things in order. I had my last chemotherapy treatment the day before he passed away. He was probably 3 days in a hospital bed in my bedroom, basically unconscious.
At the time I met Cynthia, I had 10 other profiles, all younger muscular men around 30. I decided to switch it up this time. I didn't think it would work, but it did. The man I created online was Glenn Hoffman Derby. I stole his pictures off some older man's Facebook profile by the name of Glenn. That's where I got the first name from. I did a little bit of Photoshop from a stock image picture I found because I liked the suit the guy was wearing. I spread all my fake accounts across all platforms hoping to get a hit. This time I decided to try eHarmony. The cost was more, but what the heck, why not? You have to spend money to make money. Plus, older women? I knew I could easily talk them into a life partnership. I mean, we already know that's what they're looking for. I created a new email and opened up a profile. I uploaded Glenn Cooper's photos right away. I would send messages to 40 women a day. I was ready to give up on this profile. All I had was 2 women getting ready to send me 2 Google Play cards for food, and the others wanted to meet in person before they sent any money. By this time, I had created scripts that I could easily copy and paste. It saves me all the time in the world, and typing sucks.
But I didn't know how hard it was until, again, I went out with this creepy guy, but realized that there was something, I could feel what I was missing, even though he was creepy. So that's when I decided that I would see what the whole online dating scene was about.
It was a long night, so I fell asleep and woke up the next day to a text from a woman named Cynthia. From here, I always create a story that is conveniently out of reach. I gave her my whole fake story to her, and she believed the whole thing.
Well, then, I was actually on my flight to London when the eHarmony guy popped in.
And what was his name?
His name was Glenn.
Glenn.
His name was Glenn Hoffman. Gave me his whole life story right off the bat.
I told her that I was from Atlanta, ex-military. Women love guys in the military.
He was born in Atlanta, but when he was 5, they all moved to Germany because his father was in the military, and he'd worked for Delta Airlines and he'd been in the Navy and yada, yada, yada.
This is a job with no feelings whatsoever. You have to lie. You have to cheat. You have to steal to get this money. I knew if I told her that everyone in my life is dead, it would psychologically be a good bet that she would feel sorry for me. She can nurture me and feel needed.
Right off the bat, at one point, he had written just something that was just so lovely and deep. And I said to him, "You've really blown me away with this. I don't know many men that think this way and are so verbose with their words about it."
She told me her husband died from cancer, like most of the victims I talked to. So I tell her things she has not heard for a long time. That she is beautiful. She is my queen. I love her and will come to her every night. I Googled a romantic poem that night. I told her I wrote it, but I didn't.
And I don't know what made me do it, But I cut and pasted the whole thing he said and plopped it into Google, and up it popped out of some book of romantic whatevers. And I said to him, we've had such a lovely day or two, and I feel like I've just been kicked in the gut. And he came back and he said to me, oh my gosh, are you sick? And I said, well, I'm not sure. That's up to you. I said, I got to be honest with you. The stuff that you said to me the other night was so beautiful, and I don't know what made me think that it might not be you saying it. I said, so I Googled it, and lo and behold, you took this right off the internet.
Damn, she caught me. I used the gaslighting technique to turn everything back on her.
He immediately turned the whole thing around on me and talked about, if I had used Shakespeare, would you be so upset? And words are words, and they're there for anybody to use, and rationalize the whole thing. And so I thought, well, okay, I guess that kind of makes sense. But then he came back to me and he said, do you know what you've done, Cynthia? And I'm like, no. And I thought he was going to say something kind of cute. And he says to me, you have almost blown this whole relationship that we're starting to build here. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I have? I didn't mean to do that. I said, whatever you want to say to me, I'd much rather it be from you than from anybody. Even if that you meant every single word of that, I just would really rather have your words. And every time I challenged him, he would always turn it around on me.
I told her that I was going to start a business. Then things will come up, and little by little, I will take everything from her.
And he had been working on starting his own international business. He was either going to do car exporting or some sort of real estate. So off he went to Atlanta, put in his bid to sell this dealership in Brazil, I don't know, for 49 cars or something. And 2 days later, told me he got the contract. And without me even asking, sent me a copy of the signed contract.
I got Cynthia to send me around $60,000. This was a good start, but you know me, I wanted more. I won't stop until this woman has sent me the clothes off of her back.
He got all the cars, and he got them all to Brazil. And that's when he started asking me for money. He had lent this friend $250,000 to keep his business afloat. And so I'm going to reach out to him first. So I said, good. If he owes you $250,000, you should have no problem getting 30. And it's been a year. So, and he said, and I haven't ever asked for it back. And I said, well, good, you do that. Then, of course, he came back and, the guy doesn't have it right now. In a couple of months, he'll be able to give me 60, but right now he can't give me anything. So, and I don't know how he convinced me.
A few weeks go by, and she still hasn't asked me for her money back. That's when I knew it was time to ask for more.
But at some point, it became staying in the relationship on the off chance that this whole thing was real and I was actually going to get my money back.
I knew she was loaded with money, and she was desperate to find love. I told her I needed tools and equipment to complete the job, and once I'm finished, I will receive $10 million.
I took advances on my credit cards. I pretty much wiped out my 401k.
Don't worry, baby. I'm going to pay back everything with interest, and we'll finally be together, I told her. After a few months of playing this cat and mouse game, she started to become skeptical. They all feel this way after sending a few $100,000. This didn't matter to me because I already got enough money, right?
I sold my house twice. I sold it once and rented it back for a ridiculous amount of money because he said to me, well, I'll be home and we can buy it back or we can leave and then when I couldn't afford that ridiculous rent anymore, I sold it for real. The first time I sold it, he got the proceeds.
I sent her a message reassuring her that things will be all cleared up when I get back. I'll pay off her house, and I'll buy a bigger house for us to start our life together in. By the time I was done with Cynthia, she'd maxed out her credit cards, cleaned out her 401k, and remortgaged her home.
I asked him if there were any new developments in his life, and he said, no, are there any new developments in your life? I mean, like nothing was going on at all. Yeah, it's kind of like he's washed his hands of the whole story because he knows that there's no more money coming. And honestly, I'm not really sure why. maybe if they hang on long enough, but there's just nothing. The conversations are his sentences are 2 and 3 word sentences, and mine aren't much more. I just need to get past the shame of spitting it out, and hopefully I'll find somebody who's at least a little bit compassionate, because I know people are going to think, lady, you're just a fool and you deserve what you get. But there are people that aren't, that know how this works, or that have somebody in their family, or I know that people take their own lives over this stuff. That's just unthinkable.
This is like the worst type of scam, because it's not just, you hear different scams where, they go and they, steal $500 for utilities and, scamming you out of different things like that. And then they're gone, right? And then they disappear. But this is the worst type of scam, because they get you emotionally attached and they just take everything out of you and everything from you. And it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible.
They're stripped naked, basically. Yeah, emotionally and financially.
Well, stay strong. Like I said, this will pass. This will pass for sure. We really, truly appreciate you, telling your story and being courageous enough to do it. I know there's probably a lot of, emotions that you're going through right now and that you've gone through. So I definitely appreciate you taking the time to tell it. Hopefully this will help somebody out, in the same situation. We're here for you. If you need anything, just feel free to reach out at any time, okay?
Oh, thank you, David.
No problem. Well, you have a great evening. And again, thank you so much for your time.
No worries. You take care and God bless.
All right, you too. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.